I'd rather spend that hour making $100,000 and give her a $500 present and then bank $99,900 and $500, whatever, and keep the extra money than sit around with her watching bullshit Twilight, because it's a waste of fucking time. So it gets to a point where the return on doing her crap just becomes zero. And it becomes, to a degree, not saying there's no love involved, because there is love involved, but it does become quite transactional. It does become like, look, I'm taking care of you, everything's taken care of, I'm busy. I love you, you love me, okay, you're loyal, I love you, bang, okay, I'm busy. Because you have more important things to do. Important men have important things to do. The things women want you to do aren't important. Nearly ever. It's bullshit. Now, if they have a loser man, then they'll yell at him to get off the couch, put the video games down, and go get some money. But if they have a man who's going down there getting money, they'll try and yell at him to come sit on the couch and watch a stupid movie. So that's just females. It is what it is. They always want what they haven't got. That's fine. But for you, if you're going to sit there as a completely broke man, the only thing you have to offer a woman is your time. So you're going to have to give it to her. I mean, but if you have other things to offer, especially, and I know this is an unfair comparison to most people watching at home, but I'm also famous and I offer status. If a girl gets to see me once a month, she gets status, and I'm famous, and she gets a lifestyle, and she knows she's taken care of, and she's known she's with me. So I get a whole bunch of brownie points that allow me to not use my time. So I'm living in a cheap life. So because I don't use my time, I can have unlimited. I could have 100 girlfriends if I wanted.
Yeah. Which is a hell of a lot of admin.
Which is it's a lot of admin. But then you have to decide what you're doing it for, right? So if you're doing it just to show off, I mean, that's fun for a while, but it's really not worth it. If you're doing it so you can fill up a yacht like that, once again, that's fun for a while. It's really not worth it. The only thing that makes any of this worth it is children at the end.
So you know Dan Bilzerian quite well.
Yeah.
Dan's changed his whole thesis on this by living the hedonistic lifestyle. He's obviously getting closer to God now. He's finding God. He's finding purpose. But he says now, he openly said, I saw on the podcast the other week, he's talking about monogamy now. You would never talk about monogamy, would you?
No, I wouldn't. And I know Dan quite well, and I respect him a lot. He's a great guy, and I don't want to speak for him because he's his own man. However, his attitude towards women was never procreation. I think if Dan would have had 20 children across the last 5 years, he would be looking at monogamy right now. He'd actually be very happy with what he'd done, and he'd be considering making 20 more. So monogamy is perhaps what he wants to set up before he creates children. That's his choice.
So where you've approached it differently is you've gone, right, I will date multiple women, but I'll have children with multiple women as well. Whereas Dan said, okay, I will sleep with hundreds of women, but just to sleep.
I'm uninterested in sex for the sake of sex. I think it's pointless. If I'm going to have a girlfriend and we're going to sleep together, there has to be a chance of a child appearing. God can decide, but there should be a chance of a child appearing. That's what sex is for. I don't think it's interesting just in and of itself. I'm really over that. But before I die, I would like to have as many versions of me as possible on the planet. God will decide how many come. Women take 9 months to grow a whole baby because they're slow. That's their problem. And children will be made. Yeah. That's the bottom line. Children will be made.
But good things take time.
Well, yeah, they do. But I mean, I can say some really controversial things. In fact, I'll say them. Let's go. So one of the primary reasons Western society as a whole is failing. One of the primary reasons it's failing is because men have been cucked by women into only having children only then. A woman will come along to a man and say, have my kids. I want kids. We're going to have children. And the man will go, okay, fantastic. And she'll go, but don't have kids with anyone else. And he'll go, okay. And then he'll go and he'll work his ass off and he'll, try his very best. And then she'll say, okay, I need a nanny and I need a bigger car for the kid and we need a car seat and the kid needs to go to piano lessons. We need a bigger house. We need a playroom. And he'll slave away to get 1 or 2 kids out of this woman. And then if he asks her for a third, she'll say no. I don't want to have any more kids. It's too hard. Get pregnant's too hard. And we need another nanny. And I want to go on holiday. And I want a Birkin bag. I want Instagram likes. So this female and her whims, her emotions, her primary concerns, which a lot of the time are just showing off, have limited that man's genetic potential massively. Now, those are the most successful men in Western society. The least successful men don't have that problem. There's breaders on the street with no money, 9 baby mothers, taxpayers raising all of them, doesn't care. So who's reproducing? Think about it. Who's reproducing in Western society? It's not our best. It's actually the opposite. You wonder why immigration rates are getting out of control. You wonder why London's not white anymore. Well, that's because they have kids, the immigrants. And their wives, their women aren't saying, I need a bigger house and a nanny. No, their women just have children because that's their culture, to have kids. That's what they're for. Western women don't think that way. Western women are uninterested in having kids until they 32. I want to follow my career. What's your career? Instagram? What's your career? You're out every fucking night. Name a career. You haven't got one. What you want to do is follow the money, follow the bag, and go Maldives and take pretty pictures. That's what you want to do. So they're wasting their most fertile years on dumb shit. We talk about the population collapse in the West. This is exactly why. Because men are not like me to sit and say, I want children. I'll have a kid with you. Cool. And if you take too long to grow it, listen, 9 months is how long it's supposed to take. Double up. That's your problem. Get it done. If it takes too long, I'll have kids with her. Oh, but I don't want you to. Tough. Because my genetic legacy is more important than your feelings. When I'm dead and gone, they will talk about how many children Andrew Tate had. They will not talk about the fact that some chick cried and told him what to do, and he was scared of her getting mad at me. I'm not afraid of you. So I'm going to have his kids with whoever the fuck I want. Like men have always done. That's all we've ever done. So the Western society now, the females have cucked men into sitting there only having kids with them. If you have a woman that says only have kids with me, the deal is, okay, have as many as I want. If you'll give me 20 children, if you'll be pregnant for the next 20 years, deal. But if you're going to start saying, oh, one's enough, well then, sorry, the human race needs to, it's more, the human race, females in their narcissism, don't think outside of themselves. The human race and Western civilization is more important than your crybaby feelings. So we need children on the planet. We're literally collapsing. Get over it. That's the bottom line.
So what would you say to all the women listening to this podcast then, that are entrepreneurial women that have got these e-commerce brands, they're doing a couple of million, there's quite a lot of women out there that's being successful in business. What would you say to them then? Because they're putting off being a mother to do the business stuff.
Well, I'd say congratulations on their success, and I'd say they should get pregnant at the same time. Think of all the things I can do simultaneously. I can be a convict and one of the most famous men on the planet simultaneously. Elon, as we just discussed, puts rockets in space and owns the largest electric vehicle company in the world. And now he's going to work directly for Doge, cleaning up the government all at the same time. A lot of it's just cope. A lot of it's just excuses. Females, I believe, have, I wouldn't say obligation because that's going to be used against me. But typically it was the men who build and it was the women who provide the children. For Earth. Men build the cities, men build the roads, men build, women give us the children. Well, birth rates are collapsing, and we've built more than we've ever built. So men are doing their job. Men are still building all these things, but we can't seem to get the kids we need. Now, the reason I'm saying all of this, because I know I'm going to be attacked for it, but it is what it is. This is only a Western world phenomenon. This is not the case in many places on the planet. This is what's so interesting when you talk about geopolitics. I have so many people come to me and they're Western nationalists or they're white supremacists. I talk to everybody on all ends of the spectrum. I talk to a hard liberal. I'll talk to a Nazi, far right white supremacist, even as a mixed race man. I talk to everybody. And the white supremacists are saying they don't want Africans coming into their country and they don't want their country to be less white. And I say, well, you don't have a choice because if you let one African couple in, they're going to have more children than 50 of your couple. Like on a long enough time frame, it's just math. It's just numbers. So we now have a society where women have been liberated from their obligation. And we've asked them, okay, you don't have to have children, which is your traditional obligation. What do you want to do instead? And let me ask you, and I'm going to ask you a question now.
Go on, here we go.
Women have been unchained, unshackled from their original obligation, which was reproduction. What have they done of merit since?
Become real estate agents in Dubai.
Well, there you go. You have Instagram models, you have porn stars, you have girls going to work, doing a job, which truthfully a man could do better, and we all know it. What are they doing instead that matters as much as children? Or have they done anything at the same level as reproducing?
There's nothing in my mind that matters as much as them being able to have children if they want children.
Absolutely.
I understand that. But I know some phenomenal entrepreneurial women
completely
that listen to this podcast as well that have also done some mad stuff.
Absolutely. And here's
so there's polarity in that.
No, of course, but here's where we get into the difference between the man and the female, the masculine and the female mind, because females will think exceptions disprove the rule. Men don't. When you talk about subjects like this, there's going to be a woman watching this who's very successful who's going to be insulted because she's an exception to the general rule.
Yeah.
But that's not the point. When you talk about geopolitics, when you talk about population collapse across a nation, you can't talk about exceptions to the rule. If I talk about the fact that the Western typical family in Britain doesn't have many children, and that's why the population's collapsing, it's asinine to turn around and say, here's one family that has 10 kids. Yeah, that is one family that has 10 kids. But we're talking geopolitically, and we're talking about society as a whole. We're talking about the trend as a whole. You're right. Some women are fantastic entrepreneurs. Agreed. However, the majority of breeding age females do not have children, not because they're fantastic entrepreneurs. It's because they're doing fuck all. They're scrolling TikTok, they're pissing around, they refuse to have kids, they don't want to, they want Birkin bags and Instagram likes, and they're doing nothing at all important. That's the reality of it. Now, before everyone says I'm blaming women, we can also blame men, because there's a whole bunch of men who don't want to have kids.
Well, men allow that to happen. Men allow them to walk through life and buy the Birkin bags, because if they're an attractive female and that's the kind of life they're living, whether they're living in Dubai or the Miamis or all these places in the world, and they're living that kind of life, it's men that are allowing that to happen, so it's the man's fault.
There's no light without dark. It's equal the man and the woman's fault. It's equal. It's both sides. I understand why women are going to be watching this saying, well, why would I just have kids with some random guy? How do I know he's going to take care of me? Completely true. You need a man to take care of you, and you need a man capable of taking care of you.
But how can it be a woman's fault? Because a man's men are leading the world and leading life.
Well, we have a lot of girls. Well, we just discussed it, right? We just talked about how they get together with a man and they're going to limit his genetic possibilities.
But that man has allowed her to limit his genetic possibilities. So that man is at fault, not the woman.
Well, and this is the thing, because now you have competing interests. So, and this is the thing that most people don't understand about having genuinely intellectual conversation. When you talk about one subject, now we're talking about female birth rates, right? Yeah. We could talk about it from the perspective of geopolitics. We can talk about the perspective of race. We talk about it from the female perspective, the masculine perspective. They're all different perspectives, and they all have competing obligations. This is what's interesting. So the man, I know what you're saying. A woman will sit and say, well, I can't just have kids with anyone because I need to be taken care of, and I don't just want to be left with a baby by myself. Completely agree. A man will sit and say he doesn't want to have kids for other reasons. And then a country will sit and say, well, we need children, so we have to find a way to make it work. So you have all these competing viewpoints and competing objectives.
But I know that me and you sat here accept that everything in our lives is our fault.
Correct.
Both the positive and the negative.
Correct.
So if that's the truth then, and that's how that you teach every man to live their life,
yeah,
regardless of whether the female decides to have children or not, or this, that, and the other.
It's his fault.
It's his fault.
Well, yeah, because everything I said at the beginning of this podcast about the fact that you get what you deserve from the universe. If you're the kind of man who deserves 20 children, you're going to get them. And if you're the kind of man who doesn't, you're not. I mean, if you're going to sit there and listen to and not be able to find a female to have your progeny, that's your problem. And if the female you're with and spend every day with and walk around IKEA with, picking out fucking towels, won't give you as many kids as you want, well, then you're a dipshit. That's, again, your problem. It's not my problem, but it's their problem. And I'm just saying, when I was talking from a geopolitical standpoint. I understand why women watching this will sit and say, well, why should I just have children? Have children with who? None of these men want to take care of me. And then we go down the other rabbit hole of why men want to take care of women in the first place. Men want to protect women when they see innocence and naivety and they find that attractive and they want to protect it from the outside world. A man wants to find a woman and say, you don't understand the world, I'm going to protect you and I'm going to provide for you, and I'm not going to allow you to go out there and be coarsened by the earth. I'm not going to allow you to be scarred. If they meet a woman who's already coarsened, they have no interest in protecting and providing for her.
Does the fact that, you know, females have inherently raised their promiscuity in the world, does that's affected a lot of this, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Because
the market value of a quote unquote female would go down if she's been more promiscuous.
Well, yeah, she's been coarsened by life. Her heart's not the same as it was. A woman only falls in love once or twice. After that, it's just pay the bills. So she doesn't love the same. This is what's so interesting about the feminism movement, because feminism, what has it given women? Truthfully, what has it given? Before feminism, a man met a woman, they got married. The man had an obligation to take care of that woman. Even if they argued, whatever. She got pregnant. She went to a house. He had an obligation to take care of her. He wasn't allowed to just fuck around and have all these girls. Feminism gave men that access. By telling women they can choose to do whatever they want and remove their obligations to be housewives and have children, they said, now you can do whatever you want. Well, now women are sitting there going, I can do whatever I want. We all want that guy. Well, then that guy gets all the choice. So now that guy gets to share you all. That was feminism's result. Feminism put women in a position now where they have two choices. They can go and compete against men in the workforce and lose. We can do DEI hires. We can give them HR jobs. We can pretend that they work, but they don't. They'll never get rich like a man will. Or They can go and try and compete for the best men on the planet who have unlimited choice with younger and more beautiful women forever. So feminism's put women in a very difficult position. It was easier before feminism when they knew they had an obligation to just get married and that man had an obligation to take care of them. The whole point of marriage, you talk about promiscuity, the whole point of marriage in the first place was a very simple business transaction. I'll take care of you for the rest of your life, but you're going to listen to me, you're going to give me children, and you haven't been with any other man. That's the deal. If you're coming along as a woman saying, I've been with loads of other men, I'm not going to give you kids, and I don't listen to no man. Well, who is going to marry you? There's no trend. That's why marriage is gone, right? So you're right. We have two different competing sides. As a man, what's the most intelligent move you can make on the chessboard? Let's forget everything I've said that's offended everybody, and let's just approach this as professionals, as thinkers. You're a man. If you tie yourself to one woman, she can financially destroy you. That doesn't sound logical. Why would you do that if you already have sexual access to her? You already have sexual access to her. She's been with a bunch of men before you. She can't truly fall in love anymore because she's had too much heartbreak, because that's what happens. Every single time a woman sleeps with a guy and she doesn't stay with him, she gets a little bit more cold. You're not going to risk your entire net worth on that. You also, if you're the kind of person who's successful, you have access to not only her, you have access to a bunch of females that pretty much look the same as her. You know that you're going to be attractive to females for the next 25 years. She's only attractive for the next 5 or 6 years. And she's saying she won't give you as many children as you want. Why on earth would a man be loyal to or get married to any of these women ever? This is a logical conversation. Because I ask women, what do you offer? Oh, but I'm me. Okay, that's the narcissism they have to operate within, with their head in the clouds. Because they can't answer the question correctly. What do you offer a man enough to make him want to dedicate his life and fortune to you? Now, if you have some exclusives, I've never been on a private jet before. I've never been in a Lamborghini before. I've never been on holiday without my family. I haven't slept with anyone. Fine, now the man gets something that other men haven't got. But even you and I know, as the masculine imperative, we don't want what other men have had. We don't want a used car. We want a new car.
Damages its value.
That's right.
But you say about their narcissism saying, oh yeah, but you get me. But what about them saying that you'd be a narcissist by saying what you're saying right now?
Well, the reason I'm sure they would. And I've been called narcissist a few times, believe it or not. But the difference is a man protects and provides. He gives genuine provision, which can be measured in the materialistic world.
I think what you're trying to say is here.
No, what I'm trying to say is a woman will say, you get me. And you'll say, what does that mean? And she'll go, I send you funny TikToks. Great. You get me. What does that mean? Your rent's paid. You're on jets. You get to fly around the world. Any problem you have, I fix it. You're physically safe. Like there's a list of real things if you're with a billionaire man. Whereas a woman is just a you get me. What does she give you? She gives you sex, back rubs, some happy messages, which is nice. I'm not saying that's insignificant. I'm not even saying that's unimportant. I'm saying that most women can't even explain to you why they're a catch. They just go through life only being judged by their looks. That's all they have, their looks. That's all they want to have, their looks. They keep sleeping with guys and they don't realize why it doesn't work out until they become heartless and bitter, and then they chase the bag and try and just get some money before they get old and ugly. That's just what happens. Feminism did that.
In terms of a man's value and a woman's value, from your perspective, what are the prime ages for a man and what are the prime ages for a woman?
I mean, I think men are more attractive when they are wiser and established. I mean, what does a woman find attractive in a man? She finds charisma and security and financial capability, wisdom, knowledge, humor. All of these things take time to build. So men are more attractive, and they're probably the most attractive 35 to 50 maybe. Whereas what does a man find attractive in a woman? Naivety, innocence, fertility, inexperience, innocence. Innocence is the key one. Men love an innocent woman. They don't want a woman who understands the game too well. They love innocence. But women don't stay innocent for very long because men fuck them over. And life fucks them over. I'm not being anti-women. I'm just commenting. So a woman's going to be attractive younger than a man is.
And what you've just said there is so true, because the woman got damaged because ultimately a man fucked them over.
100%.
So it goes back to our point originally, which is like, ultimately it falls down to the male responsibility to set the standard.
Well, this is the point. No. I'm going to argue with that. Because we talk about the male responsibility to set the standard. I'm going to argue with that because it's only feminism that allowed this shit to happen in the first place. She wouldn't have been fucked over if she married a man at 18 and her and that man stayed together forever like they used to. Feminism giving them these choices and opening up society to a sexual free-for-all.
But feminism wasn't created by women, was it?
Well, we can go down the Jewish question. if you want to get banned. If you want to get banned. No, but feminism is embraced by females. Every single female you ask, she'll say, I'm a feminist. And I'm saying if you ask them, what has feminism given you? They can't answer.
I understand the whole narrative, but let's just focus on that initial question. Me and you both know that feminism wasn't created by women, it was taught to women. And the people that created feminism were male, right?
Yep.
You agree?
Yep.
So it's a male problem, regardless of race or whoever created it.
No,
me and you both know where that came from.
But it's not a problem. I'm not talking about it as a problem. I'm just commenting on society as I see it. It's not a problem for the top tier men. The situation I've just designed and just described.
It is a problem for the 90% of men that
can't. It's a problem for the men who can't compete, but it's absolutely fantastic at the top.
Yeah.
You get unlimited sexual access with no time commitment, no obligations. It's absolutely fantastic at the top. Of course it is. And just like it's pretty good to be a pretty woman. It's just harder for the other ones. I mean, that's the game, right? What I'm saying is the idea that when we were just talking about a woman getting screwed over by life and losing her innocence, completely. But feminism allowed this to happen. Feminism has just opened up the world to a sexual free-for-all. And this sexual free-for-all doesn't benefit women because birth rate's plummeting. It doesn't even benefit society. Now, I'm sitting here as a person who would genuinely not like to live in a very strictly monogamous society. So I'm not even talking about myself. I'm not preaching. I'm just commenting on society as it is.
At what age did monogamy start or stop making sense to you?
I don't think it ever made sense. I don't think it makes sense to any man. Biologically.
But you're taught it from a young age. Like my mum and dad have been married for 44 years. I think the days of that happening now are gone.
Well, that's right, because you have culture and you have biology, and they're different things. I think masculine biology is different. I think also top tier males have always been the same way. Even back in the day when we talk about monogamy, kings have always had multiple wives. Kings have always had mistresses. Kings always have. So again, it depends where you are in the pecking order.
How many wives did your dad have, though?
Say again?
How many wives did your dad have?
I have no idea. I'm sure he was busy. I mean, he wasn't home very much. But, I mean, I'll talk to a dude and he'll be like, I love my wife. I don't want anyone else. That's fantastic. That's great. Then that's your prerogative. I'm not telling you have to go fuck. But the truth about people who say that most of the time is that they can't. Remember, I used to have my webcam business, right? I used to be involved in this industry. The worst men on the planet are the loyal husbands. The man will sit there and go, I love my chick. I'm loyal. The second she goes to bed, he's logging into all these websites that are the most fucked up shit possible. Because biologically, he actually wants more and he can't get it. There's a huge confusion in the world today between men who are loyal because they say they want to be loyal and men who are loyal because they have no choice. If you go into a store that sells bananas and that's all it sells and you buy a banana, you can't say you like bananas. There's no options. Yeah. If you go into a store that sells everything and you walk out with a banana every day, then you can say you're loyal. Most men who are loyal physically simply have no options. The men who do have options are different. And I will tell you something about females, especially the ones who are smart. There are women out there who say, look, I would rather be with a man who is honest, who is open, who I know is not going to fall head over heels with some chick just because her tits are big and she's a little bit young, who I know loves me because I've stood by his side for 10 years, even if he's not sexually exclusive. Then I go be with some Mr. Nice Guy, hold hands, Mr. Romantic, I'm loyal to my wife, and the second he gets a bit of female attention, he disappears. Because that's what they all do. Those are the ones who fall in love with side chicks. Real G's don't. So this whole idea of what is loyalty? Let's break it down. We're having a conversation now about loyalty and how it affects society.
Guys, over the last 5 years, you've watched me travel around the world building this podcast in 9 countries with over 200 entrepreneurs. And one of the key things that I've learned is that every single one of these successful people have a playbook. They have a play-by-play of how they're going to operate their life, their mindset and everything else so they can scale. So they can scale their money, their business, their life and everything. I want to break that down for you. So what I've done is I've set up a weekly email that's going to be going live week in, week out, giving you a play-by-play of some of the most top entrepreneurs in the world so you can understand how they're executing on their plan so you can execute on it too. If this is something that interests you, click the link, sign up to the email below, and that'll be coming out weekly.
Well, we need to be professional and go back a level. What is loyalty? Is a man loyal to his wife when he's logging into porn every night? Is a man loyal to his wife when he wants to fuck something and can't? Is he loyal because his dick doesn't go anywhere, but by her discretion as opposed to his own? All these men saying, I'm loyal to my wife. You're a fucking dork, bro. You couldn't get a chick if your life depended on it. When your wife leaves you and you start trying to message these girls on Insta, you're going to get blanked. You're probably messaging them already. You're loyal to your wife because no one's replied to your DMs. That's not loyal. You're just failing.
How would you tell them to change the narrative?
No, but this is what is so interesting to me. When you talk to these men or whenever you discuss these things with men who say, I'm loyal, they haven't even got any options. It's like talking to the broke guy. I'd never buy a Ferrari. Bro, you have no fucking money. Nobody cares what you'd buy. You can't buy one. So your opinion is irrelevant. Now, if you talk to all of the very successful men, you live in Dubai, go to Dubai, go talk to all of the successful men. What will they all say? The same as me or the same as Jackass who says he wants to be with one girl his whole life?
Well, a lot of the men that I speak to have the ability to buy a Ferrari, so if they choose not to buy one, it's out of a choice, not a necessity.
Correct. The point I'm making is that if you go to a place like Dubai or Miami, these places where it's hyper-capitalistic, you will see a very rich man with a whole bunch of pretty girls on his table. Every time. Every time. You will not see a man with just his wife. Maybe you will at dinner sometimes, but if he goes to the club, sometimes, not all the time, sometimes, he'll go on a yacht, sometimes. This is life. This is what successful men do. This is life. As a female, you can make a choice. You can say, look, I want a loyal loser, or I want to share part of a winner. I mean, females have the prerogative. Women say all the time, I just want a loyal man who cares about me. They're everywhere. They work in Starbucks. Off you go get one. Go buy a latte and take Mr. Minimum Wage, and you'll get everything you want. He'll give you all his time, he'll give you all his attention, and he'll never cheat because he can't. You don't actually want that, do you? You want a winner. Well, think about the mentality of a winner. How do you even win in the world today? You win in the world today by ignoring paradigms, by ignoring the rules, by ignoring what the Matrix wants you to do. You win in the world today by being assertive, by being greedy. You win in the world today by being the exact kind of person who can't be told what to do, does what he wants, and always wants more. That's how you become a winner. So you're surprised that a winner wants 20 girls on his table. That's his whole personality. If he didn't want 20 girls on his table, he wouldn't want 20 million in the bank. And he wouldn't want 20 cars on the drive. And you wouldn't be with him.
So you almost need the pursuit of the women as well to keep you wanting to pursue everything else.
I don't pursue women. I'm on a generational streak of reproduction. I'm the repopulator of Earth. I'm going to save humanity. I don't pursue women. I don't talk from my own perspective. I'm just talking as an observer. A lot of people struggle to do that. I will sit and look at a situation and just talk about all the different sides. There's a triangle, and I will talk from all 3 points about what we see in the middle.
Because you've been at every level of it.
Well, it's just how I see it all.
Because you've been broke and not had access that you have now.
Yeah, correct.
And
now I've been rich.
And now you've been rich.
Absolutely.
And obviously, being rich is inherently better. But there might be people that listen to this that are starting out broke. What would your advice be then to the people that are broke listening to this, or the men that don't have the access that you're talking about right now? How can they start to get their access? How can they start to get themselves together so they can have the access?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I've been at all levels of it, but I also talk from the female perspective as I understand it. So I do my very best. I think everything I've just said is only the tip of the iceberg. I could talk about this forever, but it's probably going to give me enough smoke. So I'll wait till I've beaten this case and we can continue. But to answer your question, what I'll do is I'll answer with a thought paradigm. I'll answer with a way that you should construct your thoughts in general, which a lot of people don't do. If you're going to make a chess move, you need to look at the board, which is amazing that most people don't ever want to look at the board. They need to make a chess move, so they just move. If you play an amateur at chess, they'll just randomly move something. And you'll say, why did they move it? Oh, I don't know. That you can't win that way. You play a grandmaster, the first thing he does is stare at the board. So it doesn't matter if you're entering the dating market or business or the online, anything. You need to analyze the grounds, right? You need to understand where you're going. If you're going to go to battle, the first thing you're going to do is look at a map and see the geography. I'm talking from a perspective outside of myself about the current dating market, the world we live in. The dating market in Dubai is very different than the dating market in Nebraska or Vladivostok or Japan. In Japan, your family may find you somebody. In India, it may be linked to your caste. In Dubai, it's all about the money. Same in Miami. In rural Nebraska, you may have just met your high school sweetheart. Who knows? It's down to you to look at the board and then decide, how do I position myself to try and win this game? right? The way I would try and find a wife in Dubai is completely different than the way I'd try to find a wife somewhere else.
You'd find a wife in Dubai?
I don't think so. But if I wanted to, it's a different game. You have to understand the board before you make a move on it.
You and I both know there are no wives in Dubai.
Well, this is it. So why? This is the point. This is the exact point.
So I wouldn't be trying to play the wife game in Dubai.
So what game are you playing?
Well, not the wife game.
Well, that's it. So there's only two other games, which is hedonism or reproduction. And I decided that reproduction, and perhaps this is cope.
What game?
No, but all of us, I don't want to make something very clear for everybody watching at home. Every single person copes. Every single person rationalizes their own decisions. Every single person comes up with a good excuse in their mind for why they do what they're not supposed to do. Every single person does. Everybody will go out there and do something that they know perhaps the Bible or the Quran says they shouldn't do, but they'll do it and they'll rationalize it. Perhaps I've rationalized promiscuity, saying, but I'm creating children. I'm not hedonistic. I'm creating kids. I'm a good person. But am I? Or do I just want all those beautiful women to adore me? We have to analyze. I'm being as a professional. You have to look at both sides of the coin.
I think that at some part in your earlier days, there was perhaps a woman that maybe rejected you when you didn't have the money, maybe chose someone who was richer than you, potentially back in the day. And potentially you thought to yourself, do you know what, I'm going to elevate my character, I'm going to elevate my status, and when I have the money and when I have the power, I'm going to use it and I'm going to take it further forward.
Well, I think every man has been rejected by women.
It's a rite of passage.
No, yeah, exactly, of course. Every man's been rejected by women. I can't say I haven't lost women because I'm 37, so I've lost hundreds of women. I don't think there's one in particular. However, every man has been rejected by women, that's true. But you can take that paradigm and you can apply it to nearly anything in life. You become a better fighter after you get knocked down. You become richer after you can't afford to eat. You become better with women after you get heartbroken. That's just the masculine experience is based within suffering anyway. You fail at something and you try again. That's the masculine experience. This is why men and women think so differently, because everything I said about innocence, you don't want a woman to be coarsened. So you don't want her to have experience of life, because if she has experience of life, life is suffering and life is pain. If she goes out there into the world to experience things and become knowledgeable in and of herself, there's no way she can do that without becoming harder and less soft, because the world is so vicious to people. So as a man, you become a better man by suffering, whereas a woman becomes a much worse woman by suffering. So as a man, what you actually want to do is go through so much suffering that you become such a fantastic man that you can find a woman who's never suffered and prevent her from ever suffering. So I'm going to be called all the horrible names for this podcast, but truthfully what I'm saying is a man should suffer and go through so much pain and agony that he becomes such a fantastic man that he could find a woman who's never had to suffer ever and ensure she never does. That's the ultimate protection and provision. That's the way the balance works.
So the scars make the man better in a lot of areas of his life, whereas scars make women harder in the emotional element.
Well, scars aren't attractive. Do men find scars attractive on women? No. Do women find scars attractive on men? Yes. And that's even in the physical manifestation of what we just discussed from a psychological perspective. So it's literally just the way it works. A man used to have to go away to war and come back a war hero to find a wife who's never been to war. You don't want a wife who's been to war. Nobody wants a wife who's been to the trenches. You want a man who's been to the trenches and survived. This is the dynamic, right? So, I mean, we look at the Dubai market, it's very interesting, but you have all these women out there with a whole ton of experience. They're becoming coarsened by it. And when I say coarsened, I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm saying that it's very hard for them to fall in love deeply because they've been on X amount of boats and X amount of supercars, slept with X amount of men, on X amount of private jets, X amount of trips. And you're going to come and pick them up and you're going to try and get some genuine emotion from their hearts, but it's all just been squeezed dry. There's nothing left.
It's desensitization is what's happened.
Completely.
You get desensitized to a certain level of life, and once you've lived it, and once you've seen it so many times at that level.
Even more importantly, you get desensitized to the idea of losing your man. When a woman loses her first boyfriend, it's a heartbreak. It's Taylor Swift. It's 2 years by herself. It's crying every day. It's writing in her diary. It's a big deal. Women become desensitized to losing their man. By the time they lose their 10th man, they don't give a fuck. And they're out in the club next day getting a new man. And before you know it, that's how it goes. And you can call me every name under the sun. Let's do a scientific experiment. How long does it take a woman to go over her first boyfriend compared to how long does it take a woman to go over her 10th boyfriend? Now, I don't think men are actually like that. I think men, if they can truly love a woman at any level, you could sleep with 1,000 women And you cannot give a shit about number 798 to number 812. And the number 813 you can be obsessed with. And then you can lose her and be upset about it. And then you can go back to 814 up to 903 and not give a shit again. Men, no matter how many women we sleep with, retain the capability and ability to fall in love with the right woman because we fall in love via their innocence. If you give a man, no matter how many women he slept with, a good enough woman, he will fall in love with her anyway. Whereas a woman can't. If a woman slept with enough men, you can give her the best man and she will never fall in love with him because she's broken now.
The women that I've fallen in love with in life are always the ones that have cost me the most stuff, you know. They teach you a lesson in that.
That's where the scars from.
There's a lesson in that. You need a little bit of heartbreak. You need a little bit of emotion in there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that the true red pill is that the heartbreak part is the best part.
Yeah,
that's the real love. The whole holding hands, everything's happy, we're out at dinner, smiling, laughing. No, that's boring. The true memory of love, the actual real fun part of the love is the part where you feel the deepest, and you feel the deepest when it goes wrong. Yeah. And we can apply that to everything. That's the funnest part of life. The funnest part of life. It's never fun at the time, but in retrospect, when you want to use hindsight and analyze your entire life via the lens of your mind, when you go back in time, those bad times are the best times.
Yeah.
I miss jail. It was shit. But now me and Tristan is all we talk about because you get a strong visceral emotion from it. So it's a happy memory.
There's a few stories that you're not telling about jail.
There's a lot of stories. There's a lot of stories I'm not telling about jail.
I
might go back.
There's a few stories about female prison guards that I've heard that may or should be told on this podcast. Guys, I hope you got value from this podcast. And if you did, hit that subscribe button and turn the bell notifications on. But guys, I've got these videos here that will take you to a whole new level as well. So don't sleep on these.